This thing made a left turn in the low crawl position and went right back into the tree line.
It was it was loud.
Hey Joe, they're here. I swear to God, I just saw one.
All right, good to go. Welcome to the Sasquatch Encounter Brigade. We got some good guests tonight. Got the guys from Cryptovania. They are the founders, Tommy Cooper and Jason Trost. First of all, I'm going to bring on Happy and Mr. Lloyd. Y'all know Happy, but Lloyd is new to the podcast game. He's been going out in the field with us over like the past year. We met Lloyd at Molina and been going out ever since, and asked him if he wanted to do some podcasting with us, and he agreed. What's up, fellas?
What's happening, Johnny? How are you tonight, man? Lloyd, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Excited. I like your backdrop there, Happy. Is that the Happy place?
Yes, sir. And if you look there, you see there's two guys?
Uh-huh.
I believe that might be you. That's right when y'all got there. So that's you and Hank.
Oh yeah, I could tell one of them was really good looking. So
yeah, from that far away, there you go.
Oh yeah. All right, let's bring on boys. Fellas, what's going on?
How you doing?
Hey.
Cryptovania.
Happy days from snowy Cryptovania.
Excellent.
Welcome on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So fellas, I know you guys you're from up north. We got the north and the south here tonight. Are y'all both in Minnesota?
No, we are in Northwest Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Well, they were nice enough to have me on. I guess it was 2 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed the conversations we had, and enjoyed talking to both of them and their co-host after the podcast. Kind of went into some things that I normally avoid because I don't pay much attention to. But actually, me and Lloyd were talking about this the other day. I can't stand the word woo. Because it's almost patronizing at this point. That's kind of how people use it. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of brainstorming the other day, like trying to figure out what is another term that we can use to describe people who don't believe it's or believe that it's something besides an ape or a relic hominoid. And I haven't come up with anything yet, but I think it's worth doing. You know what I'm saying? I think, because like I said, I have my opinions, but I
think that you could use. I think the term quantum could be used as a pretty good umbrella for that. What used to be kind of called the woo.
Right.
And it's kind of, I think it does kind of exactly what you're talking about in giving credence to that side of thought as being logical and not just emotional.
Well, we need the combination of transcendent would be more of the spiritual kind of aspect, and then you've got the quantum aspect. So it's actually very interesting how many different categories it kind of falls in, when it comes to belief,
Yeah.
But I think we should all put our heads together and coin it.
Excellent idea.
and as a proponent of that quantum belief for both UFOs and Bigfoot, it's very refreshing for me to see that the people giving it a look, and I really give a lot of credence to Ron Moorhead and really putting a a scientific twist on something that used to be just kind of dismissed maybe as spiritual only. And I think that anybody that wants to kind of go down that rabbit hole, I think Ron Moorhead's Quantum Bigfoot is required reading. And then and then he has the not just he has had success gathering evidence in the field. His Sierra sounds are fantastic. And if he had never come forth with the quantum Bigfoot stuff, just that contribution alone, those Sierra sounds would be, put him well elevated above the rest of us. But then you do that combination there, and to me, like, you have to kind of give him the crown as most influential thinker in Bigfoot. And that would be, that could be a good episode right there, kind of like the old heavy metal stuff, where you come up with the best three, come up with your best three influential people in Bigfoot.
Yeah. Good to go. I'm going to try something real quick.
Yes, sir.
Probably a little annoying, but somebody's got some feedback here. Let's figure out what it is. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
You hear it? Still, it's going away.
Da 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 da. It was. I think it's Lloyd.
Don't blame it on me. I'm just sitting here.
No, something's.
It's the way it is.
When I don't know. When I mute you, it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't give that button to my wife.
All right,
so what do I have to do? Just turn it down?
Well, you've got the. Hold on, let me try it again while I'm talking. Hello.
Are you?
Hello. 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 I don't know, fellas. We're just going to have to deal with it. Anyway, how about you guys give us your origin story? Yeah, I didn't think. Usually don't have that problem if you got headphones.
Yeah. You said our origin story.
Yes, sir.
Sir, how'd y'all get into this?
Tommy, you want to take that away? You're the one that kind of dragged me into this kind of a little bit kicking and screaming.
Is that the way that happens all the time?
Well, I always had I always had an affinity for the cryptid stuff, and I had been interested in it since I was in 4th grade. But one time, this was just like, I don't know how long ago it was, but it was within recent history. But I was sitting here on the computer and I was talking to Trost, and I was telling him I was just looking at my computer, and I said, I've got to figure out something to do. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I said, dude, I've got to think about something but tires, because tire season, snow tire season, is such a odious task to me and us and that. So I was like, I've got to think of something to do. I said, I don't know if it's stamp collecting. I just don't know, but I'm going to find something to do to get my mind off being involved in tires 24/7. So I was looking at my computer and I was like, hey, Cryptovania, Hidden Woods. I mean, that sounds like a good title. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a hold of everybody in Bigfoot world, and I'm going to try to get them into my group. And Facebook was relatively new. And so I just started hitting up, like, Todd Standing and all the well-known people. And I was inviting them into the group. And at that time, I think Todd Standing had like 3,000 followers or whatever at that point in time. And this guy and that guy and that guy. And a lot of people, they come into the group, and that was the beginning of it. I mean, it was a cool thing to think about that did not involve work. And that's basically how it got started, was we wanted to think about something that didn't involve work.
There's no better, no better origin story than that.
Honestly,
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in just cryptids in general? I mean, you just before all
Well,
that,
I
what
could
sparked your interest?
in fourth grade,
honestly
I
like
read a
Tommy
book.
Cooper. What's that?
In fourth grade, I read a book in school, and
Okay.
it was about Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson, and I believed it. I believed
Right.
every word that was written in that book, and if they could do it, then I could do it. I mean, I wanted to be a trapper and a hunter and an outdoorsman and all this kind of stuff, and that was really the thing that really got me going, because I believed this story. I believed the Patty film, and I still do. And that's how I got into it.
That makes perfect sense.
Earlier he referenced us and tires, and the Cryptovania basically rotates around Tommy's tire shop, and it's been in that same location for close to 30 years now. And for that time in our little town, he has been the guy that you can go to and tell your story and get an honest ear and a sympathetic ear. And long before people really started accepting and the whole Bigfoot thing becoming very popular, he was the crazy guy out at the tire shop that anybody could go to and talk Bigfoot or Dogman or aliens or UFOs. And the tire shop is kind of like a barber shop in a way. It's in that it's kind of a gossip center, and it's a place to go to share stories and stuff while you're waiting for somebody to check your tire and find out why it's not holding air. And it's kind of it's been a heck of a melting pot. So basically when we started this, we had that a couple of decades worth of basically eyewitness reports to start working with and to use as our basis for material and such. And this is kind of over the last, I'd say, like 10 years or so, that social media has become a place for people to share stories about Bigfoot and aliens and Dogman and all that. But before that, there was Thompson Run Tire and Tommy Cooper out in Hydetown, Pennsylvania. And that kind of it's really given us a good launching pad into this whole realm.
And
And he doesn't give himself enough credit often for the fact that has been such a wealth of people coming and telling their story. And I've sat there. I've spent the more than a decade there hanging out and watching as people come in and tell their stories, and it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Man, that's an amazing resource. Oh, Lloyd, you are off the hook. Mr. Jason, it is you.
Aha.
Is this me?
Yeah, it is you.
Okay. All right, then when I'm not talking, I'll mute my mic.
Okay.
When people do come in to get their tires on, it's really cool because the guys take care of it, and I've got like 45 minutes to perform in front of my customers because everybody knows I'm the crazy Bigfoot guy. But
Right.
once in a while when people are in here, it'll come up in conversation. I'll be like,
We're locked up.
Anything crazy ever happen around your place or this or that? And it's amazing how many people say, yeah, something crazy does happen around my place. This happens, that happens. And it's good because I have 45 minutes to get the information and respect their I don't want to say who they are and this and that kind of stuff. And but it's nice. They want to say it and I want to hear it. So it's just a good feeling, man.
Man, that's an excellent resource to have right there in your community, and then
Yeah.
kind of a safe space for people to open up, man. That's awesome. And I don't know you well, but from what we have talked, you are super easy to talk to. I can tell that's that's a really good thing, So good, man. Maybe Mr. Trost is right. You need to give yourself some more credit.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, man.
Wonderful thing to do. I mean, and how many people? I mean, you say people are coming in talking to the crazy Bigfoot guy. Where we're coming from, nobody's saying anything, and it's, you look behind me there. That's the kind of place we are, and it's farmers, and nobody's talking. It's amazing to me that people are coming in, and I mean, honestly, you do have an honest face, and you look like easy to talk to. But how many people do you estimate come in and tell you this story? And out of that, I mean, how many people are you like, okay, this may be something? I mean, I understand people are going to come in and tell you all kinds of stuff. We were talking about that the other day, and that blows me away that you've got people coming in to tell you that story. So I guess my question is, on average, what do you think? How many people are coming in a year and talking to you about this stuff?
In the last 26 years that I've been here at the tire shop, I think 500 people have told me their stories from the surrounding community. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Not only is a lot of stories, but it sounds like it's a hot spot.
Yeah, it sounds like you're in a hotbed for sure.
It absolutely is.
Are they all local? Are they all local people? Or are they coming from out of state and telling you?
Usually they're within like 30 minutes of here.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. So it's in those 26 years, what's like the most bizarre story you've heard?
Well,
or is there any kind of pattern?
Probably the most bizarre that I ever heard was people saying they saw aliens and Bigfoot together. That's probably the most bizarre one I ever heard. But I've heard everything from roadside crossings to digging up garbage. I mean, you name it, everything. There's so many people in this area, and I know so many people in this area, and I'm known for this. And I think most of them are telling the truth. I really do.
I think the strangest that I've witnessed somebody come in and talk about was seeing UFOs feeding off of the power lines. And and I wish I had been able to record it when it happened, because the guy that came in is he's not somebody that will ever let us record. He is definitely not out for any kind of attention whatsoever. Absolutely terrified of any attention, but he came in and he has this fantastic local dialect, and he described, and then he actually wrote out, he drew a picture of these UFOs that were like tethering to the large power lines and seemingly feed off them. And you could tell he just needed to get it off his chest. And, yes, we are known for sharing stories, but Tommy's also known for not sharing stories when he's not allowed to. And so, like, he came in, he told his story, and he was gone. And it's not like this guy is somebody, A, looking for attention, or B, really caring what me or Tommy might have to think of him. We see him once or twice a year, maybe. But it was something else. And we do get a lot of that. And we are also kind of very proud that we feel like we have a very hot spot area. We've got burial mounds, we have ancient oil collection pits, we have dogman sightings, we have Bigfoot sightings, and we feel spoiled here in Cryptovania. And that's when he came up with the name Cryptovania. It was kind of that whole encompassing, this general area, and how hot it is. But it's been incredible.
Do you
Now,
guys
have you?
attribute-
Go ahead, Lloyd. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Do you guys attribute that to anything like the geology or I don't know the minerals, the mines? I know there's a lot of mines.
Ley lines.
Yeah.
I personally attribute it to oil.
Oil.
We are home right almost exactly in between my house and Tommy's house. Within a few is a the first commercial oil well that uh, our society has ever drilled. It's called Drake's Well, and it was drilled in 1859. And there's a whole park here and everything about it. But there's also documented, and you can still find remnants of thousands of wood-lined oil collection pits that are documented in this area, and you can still find some of the timbers they were like 6 by 6 square, and the timbers the pits were lined with halved timbers in like octagons, and we have a creek here.
I think we lost him.
Kind of like a orange scum, but it's the crudest of crude oils. And for the given narrative is that the Indians, the local Senecas, dug these pits and collected oil for their hair, but they have no stories whatsoever about making these pits. And there were thousands of them. There were still thousands of them as late as like 1910. There was still like 2,000 or 3,000 of these pits dug. That's a heck of an endeavor not to have any stories about, so it's pretty obvious they didn't do it. And I kind of attribute that maybe this is the second time that oil has been, that Drake's Well was the second time that oil was harvested from this area. And we also have the burial pits and such that are here, and we kind of theorize that they're all like interconnected. We have an incredible amount of what seem like dogman sightings and such. And we've kind of theorized that those dogman sightings are related to the burial mounds, that are related to the oil pits, and that are also related to the fantastic clay that we have here. We've had lots of universities digging up these burial mounds, and they have fantastic pottery examples in these mounds. And we wonder if this area here wasn't at one point a major hub of industry for somebody.
Yeah, there was enough rivers.
Mm-hmm.
The rivers were everybody's mode of communication.
Right.
Yeah, and transportation back in the day. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, and you may have already done this. Have you thought about writing a book out of all these stories?
Honestly, we kind of have, and one of the things that we do set out to do with Cryptovania is to tell these stories in like video form and such. And that's kind of part of the Cryptovania mission, is to bring these stories. And that's how we also kind of lead to the Lamy Ridge Peaker video that was going to be our original subject. In that, when we first started and we decided we were going to be very serious about this, we paid a production company here locally to help us create a series of videos where we bring in Bigfoot researchers from around the country, and we take them out and we show them the area and we interview them. And that ended up becoming our flagship series, Cryptovania. And we consider it a very high production model that kind of set the tone a few years back about researchers interviewing each other and sharing their research. And we had Tony Merkel from the Confessionals. We had Greg Yost. We had George Workman, and we also had the crew from Coshocton County Bigfoot come. The whole crew came up here a couple times, and we went out. Would take them out squatching, And that's how we ended up coming up with the video that we'll look at here in a little bit.
We can go ahead and look at it
to,
now if you want to.
Let's cut
Yeah,
right
we
to
can.
video,
And we,
Johnny.
yeah, let's take a look at that.
Let's take a look at before we even pull it up. Now, I've got a program that stabilizes it, but for whatever reason, with thermal and with night vision videos, it gives it a wavy look or whatever. So it's almost as much distortion as just the shaking itself. So I just left it as is. Just kind of walk us into what we're looking at before I throw it up.
Tommy, you want to do that?
Yep. Where we were at is what I call a habituation place. A man and a woman come here and they told me that this was going on, that was going on. There's all this craziness happening around their house. Well, it turns out they live just one road over from Lamy Ridge. And the Coshocton boys were up here, and me and Trost and Jim Sauerland and the Coshocton guys, we were just riding down the road thinking where we're going to go next. And I was like, what about this place? Let's go here. It's kind of deep woods and we'll go there. So we all went back in there and we're going under darkness, and everybody had their technology with them. Jay Fouch had a FLIR, and this guy had that, and Trost had the goggles, and I had the night vision and this and that. So we had gone back in there a little ways, quite a ways, and everybody stopped. And then we went a little bit further, and they stopped, and I was kind of new to. I knew the guys from Coshocton a little bit, but I didn't know them so much. And we went back there, and there was rustling in front of us, and you could hear something going on in front of us. I think there was 2 or 3 juveniles, I think, but everybody was going in under darkness. And I took my digital night vision and I shined it, and I looked over there, and I was like, there was this guy about 6 foot tall, and I thought it was one of the guys from Coshocton. I thought it was Jay from Coshocton, and I was like, what is this guy doing? I was like, what, how come he's walking? I was like, oh, good. And I hit record, and that's right when I got him behind the tree, and he was behind the tree peeking at me and stuff. And it wasn't one of those guys. I think it was Bigfoot. And that was only like 30 yards away or 25 yards away. I mean, it was close. And so as I was recording it, one of the guys, the Coshocton guys, that was one time in my life I really didn't need to carry anything into the woods, because these guys were ready for anything. And they always said, like, no matter what, everybody's going to go home. I was like, okay, good enough for me. The one guy was beside me. He come right up beside me with a semi-automatic, and he had it right beside me as I was recording. And I was thinking, like, everybody was just getting home from Iraq and stuff like that. And he goes, do you want me to light it up? And I said, no, don't light it up. Please do not light it up. So I was recording it, and he was there, and he went back into the woods, and I looked over at his gun. He had a light on the end of his barrel.
Oh.
I was like, do not. So, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, man. All right, let's play the video. Let's light this thing up.
Light it up, Johnny.
Left. Boys, he's right to our left. Close.
Now, where are we looking at exactly?
We're on the trail looking to the left, and
Okay.
there's a creek. There's a creek just a little ways ahead of us.
Now, is the figure dark?
It wasn't that dark through the night vision when I looked at it, but it wasn't very much in focus. So I
Okay.
didn't do a good job of the focusing. But there again, I was pretty excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear the
And you'll-
excitement in your voice.
And
No,
you'll
I'm
see
good.
it there, kind
I
of.
can see him. I'm recording. He's right there, man.
There he goes. He backs out.
Dude, right here on the left.
Yeah, I was just happy to be recording it, let alone
There's
focus.
one right here, right in front of me, Jay.
You sound awful calm.
I'm gonna play it one more time.
I do have the I am calm under pressure, believe it or not. That from being working for myself for 26 years.
Yeah.
Right here.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. There's obviously something there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely want to pull it up. They didn't send it. They sent it today. I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, guys, y'all got to send me that. I definitely want to pull that up and put it on the computer later on and go through it.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. How do you like that? That night vision setup?
Dude, you ain't gonna believe this. One of the people that were up here was Dirty South Squatching, and they were showing us their technology and this and that. And I looked at their night vision and I was like, hey, you know what? I think I got one of them. They said, no. I was like, I think I do. And I looked on top of my refrigerator and there it was.
You had hidden night vision, huh?
Yeah,
I don't
one
know.
of the things that comes with being at the tire shop, he not only was one of the guys that you go to for sharing stories, but there's a lot of wheeling and dealing and stuff like that goes on. And
I see. I
you
see.
know,
Excellent.
yeah, you know, and when it comes to tires, you know, sometimes a lot of things have currency, you know, and
Oh yeah.
I think he traded. I think somebody traded that for a couple tires or something, and he just kind of tossed it up on top of the fridge and kind of forgot about it until we had Dirty South there, and we were just marveling at how their awesome technology that they had. That was one of the fun things when we first started, is like people would come and we'd get to play with their toys, you know,
Right.
and you know, and then, you know, like he said, he's like, oh, I think I got one of those. That looks awful familiar. And it's a Bushnell Equinox.
Right.
And
Okay.
it works pretty good. He's gotten some fantastic like orb videos and stuff with it too.
Well, I'd like to see that for sure.
Yeah, the
Yes.
orbs are that's a fun one.
Yeah, I don't get the orbs, man. Like I told you guys the other day, I've seen a bunch of them, and I don't get it. And the crazy thing with me is, I've never seen them anywhere else except around my own property. So I don't know how that. I don't know what's going on with all that. But I don't know what orbs are, but they're real, whatever they are.
That crew that we were with, the Coshocton, their guy Jay Fouch, their front man Jay Fouch, he has some fantastic orb videos. He really does, including some that are like in the daylight, you know, just really startling. But that same crew that we were with that night, they definitely have a lot of orb footage and stuff.
So what? Y'all go out in the field a lot?
I do quite a bit because actually Trost goes out in the daytime because he's a family man, but there's not Mrs. Tommy Cooper, so I can go whenever I want to. But the place that he and I lease right across the road from where I live, it's 1,000 acres. And all the people that own property adjoining to it, they're all pretty much friends of ours. So it's like basically 2,000 acres that we can go up there and stomp around. and interstate game lands, and there's a rifle range and all this and that. So there's a lot of places you can go.
Right. What's the strangest thing you've seen in the field?
I'll have to think about that for a second.
One of the super cool things about our arrangement and such is that we get to quite often throughout the week get to play hooky and disappear for a half hour to an hour and a half at a time, and go explore some of the stuff locally, and we'll usually come up with some dumb excuse or something. And then another thing that what we both used to do was go out and repair skidder and tractor tires. And we got basically used to get to go all over the state, doing skidder tires and tractor tires, especially skidder tires. Sometimes we would get in a truck and drive 2.5, 3, 4 hours away into like the national forest, and you go and you do a 2 or 3 hour job on a skidder, and then you get to kind of meander your way home and maybe check out some sites and maybe even stay on the clock a little. And that was an awesome resource for a long time. He did it for decades, going out and fixing skidder tires deep in the woods, and then that helps get you a lot of like logger tales and stuff, and a lot of times loggers aren't going around and telling everybody their story, but you're sitting there and you've got their rig up in the air and you've just pulled the tire off and you're pulling the tube out, and maybe you guys start talking Bigfoot and stuff. There's a lot of trust to be had when a guy's got his elbows deep into your skidder tire, and so again, one of those fantastic resources that we've had, where you get to see a lot of different places in this state and hear a lot of stories. It's pretty cool. And that was something that really kind of shaped things for us. And when we first started this Cryptovania project, we were still hitting the road quite a bit. And that lent itself pretty well to the information gathering, and that's kind of what we wanted to do with Cryptovania, is take like the coolest part of our lives and amplify them a little bit. We've added a little bit of music to things. We've had some live events in our garage and in his house, which is right next to the tire shop. And like he said, there's no Mrs. Cooper, so we've been able to turn his house into, it's basically 3 different studios for us, and each with a distinct flavor and flair. And sometimes we get to leave stuff set up there for a week or 2 at a time, like lights and stuff, and we're kind of spoiled in a lot of regards when it comes to gathering content and being exposed to cool stories and stuff.
Well, my wife watches the podcast every once in a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, for the record, I'm not envious at all of what you're doing. Whatever. I would have no interest in having an entire setup next to my garage, next to 1,000 acres where I could do what I wanted to. No interest at all. But anyway,
it
cool setup.
It is really cool. And like he said, that area is like right within sight of us, and it's awful tempting, and we slip away whenever we can. Recently, we've been doing some what we call peanut butter traps, where we take we take a lid of peanut butter and we screw it to a tree, and then you cut the bottom out of the peanut butter and screw it on there, and you're basically hoping to get some activity to it. And we set up our sound recorder that we got from Dirty South Squatching out there, and we kind of use it as like a bait thing. And that was, you asked about some of the weirder stuff. the first time we went and took a look at it, it looked like maybe there was some activity around it or such, and maybe a couple licks of the peanut butter. But then the second time, and this was I think about 3 weeks ago, we go back and the peanut butter is almost all gone. Our apples that we left are almost all gone, or actually they were all gone. And within sight of our peanut butter trap was this dead deer kind of draped over a sapling, and and it was cool because I was going live at the time, and and so we come across and there's this deer that has been kind of ripped open, and it's definitely did not fall on this bent over sapling. It was basically had a small sapling underneath it, and it was kind of holding it down almost like a bow. And we're like, well, that's kind of weird. And it was kind of torn inside. And okay, that's kind of weird. And we start trying to trouncing around, and we came across, I would say, probably 50 to 60 yards away, still within sight, another dead deer. This one a little farther along in the decomposition process. And the crazy part about this one was that it was at a tree that came up with like a forked trunk right up out of the ground, and it had one of the shoulders pulled through that and wrapped around like something was pulling it apart. And it was very obvious that something was manipulating that. Something basically that had to have thumbs. It was either a person mutilating a deer, or it was a wild man, or it was a Bigfoot. It was something that had thumbs or something, because it pulled that and it was reefing it around. And then we found probably another 50 or 60 yards from that one, we found another dead deer a little farther in the decomposition process. So it was these various stages. It wasn't one batch of deer that something did. This was done over a period of time, and they were all within sight of each other. This little tiny area, and what are the chances that we would find 3 deer like that? Because if you were to use that data for the rest of the woods, yeah. That goes up there with one of the weirder things that you just go out, just like when you go out squatching and stuff in the middle of the night, you're looking for things and you're bouncing stuff. But basically, when you go out checking your peanut butter trap during the middle of the day, you're just basically expecting to find kind of nothing, and you're basically going out for a walk, going out on a lark. Right. And then all of a sudden we're just like in the middle of this dead deer cornucopia, and it was very unsettling. And then of course we were covered with ticks afterwards. I think you end up with one or two in you. Oh. Yeah.
And I had a bunch of them on me too.
Yeah, and so and again, it's not aliens and Bigfoot getting in and out of a UFO, but it sure was crazy and strange,
Oh, that's definitely strange. Like we found out, like we talked about before, out at Captain Joe's spot. It's very unsettling to find that many animals grouped together like that. Especially what makes it weird is the different times of, like you're talking about, decomposition, different
stages of decomp.
Mm-hmm. And, the bones we were finding, it literally looked like some of them were brought in from 2 years ago that they'd been dead, all the way up until one that we found the very day we got there looked like it'd been dead a couple hours. So that's super weird, man. I don't know what that is. Have you gotten any physical evidence from your peanut butter traps? Any tracks or anything like that?
No, we haven't. But the next time I go up there, we're going to redo the peanut butter trap, and we're going to screw the new one on, and I'm going to take a rake and I'm going to rake all the ground and
Good idea.
that'll prove to us if there is Bigfoot tracks in there or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, me
Yeah,
and
because
Captain.
honestly, we went there looking at it, and we're sitting there going, "Well, is there activity?" We're like, "Yeah, ours." You know, we're looking there. You know, our great scientific experiment, and there we had just tromping around, and you know, and we're like, all right, we need to polish this up a little bit.
Believe it or not, I've actually had that work, guys. If you, I didn't think it would work at all. I was putting corn out, and Captain Joe's like, "Hey man, why don't you try just putting a bunch of smooth dirt or whatever around the corn so you can look for tracks?" And I'm like, "Man, they're not that stupid. They're not going to do that." So I got out there and we got a hole, and I dug all that dirt out of there and smoothed it out real good, about a 10-foot circle. And I swear to God, the next day, I had a track like right in the middle of it that looked like it was just as intentional as can be. And I'm like, and even I couldn't believe it. Number one, I didn't think it would work, but it was just so obvious that, and I was a little upset that Joe came up with the idea first. I'm not going to lie, but you know, it definitely worked. You know,
one time when the Coshocton boys were over, Trost was with those guys, and he found a beautiful track. It's like 21 inches or something.
Good God.
The Trost cast. Oh yeah, it's a mag.
It was pretty big.
Yeah.
And we ended up, it's actually the only cast that I've ever made, and we used spray foam to do it. I think it was Jack Warren brought it with him, and so we actually made this cast with spray foam, and it's the only one that I've ever done. And we do still have it, and you know, for being the first time ever that we did it, it turned out pretty dang good, you know.
Huh.
But
21 inches.
Oh, yeah,
21 inches. That's a monster, man.
Yeah. And believe it or not,
that spray foam, it was just, you know, why not try it, you know? And Jack Warren is like, I want to try this, and let's do it. Now that peanut butter trap too, we originally got that idea from a guy named Don Slovey that's only about 15 miles from us, and that dude has the most fantastic collection of casts, maybe even in America. I'm guessing he has 200 casts. And he has a couple of handprints and stuff. He has everything from small stuff to big mags. And he has fantastic technique too. He mixes his cast. He mixes it a little thin when he first pours it, so you get the definition, and then he thickens it up for the second pour onto it. And so we kind of want to give a shout out there. As long as we're talking of casts and peanut butter traps, we've got to give credence to Donald Slovey. I'd
like to check that out.
He has a video that's phenomenal. It's on NVTV among other places. They call it the "Oh My God" video. You should see that. And he has probably 4 or 5 pictures that are just awesome. They are just awesome. Yeah. And he's right up the road, man.
Say his name again.
Yeah. Donald Slovey.
Donald Slovey.
Does he have a YouTube channel or anything?
Yes, he does. He has a Facebook group called DWS. Oh, I can't remember the rest of it, but if you put in DWS, you should be able to find it. And then we've done a couple of episodes with him. We call him the Master Caster. I'll send you his information. He's got some fantastic casts, and he's got a couple that we've done presentations with him, and he has a couple that are in wood and glass with velvet backing and stuff. Really good stuff. And I'm telling you, his collection rivals Meldrum's. It is fantastic.
It does.
And he's just a guy in the woods, a single dad raising his kid, and basically scrimping and saving so he can buy plaster of Paris and make these casts.
Yep.
And they don't go anywhere. They don't. It's not like he's like, even on his site, he only posts a little bit, and but man, he's got a fantastic collection. He's got some that are club footed. It's incredible. It's incredible.
One thing I have to say about Donald is, I was talking to him one day, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I was thinking I might go over here in this area and da da da. And he looks at me, he's like, well, he's like, go ahead and go in there. He's like, but I'm going to tell you something. You go in there, they're mean. I was like, what? He's like, I'm telling you, they're mean. I was like, okay. So I went in there, and I started going back in there as in Game Lands. And I went back probably less than a mile. And I heard it sounded like two deaf mutes having an argument. And it was right over the hill. I mean, I was like, you can't make this stuff up, man. Cryptovania, man, there's always something happening around here. But I mean, I heard these people, it sound like they're having an argument, and they couldn't really speak English. And I mean, the dogs started barking, and they went trolling out through the woods, and the dogs were barking out in the farms and stuff. I was like, this is unbelievable. But he told me it was going to happen, and he wasn't lying.
That's pretty amazing.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, so let's get down to brass tacks, fellas. Like we kind of ended off with on y'all's podcast the other day. I want to hear from both of y'all what you think Sasquatch is. Where do you think it fits in the realm of everything we're doing here?
I definitely think that it's a Nephilim. I really do.
Do you?
Yes.
So are you Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Now where go ahead, Trost.
Yeah,
Where you gonna say?
And I would say that for me, Bigfoot is like the interdimensional quantum thing. Like Bigfoots and aliens and UFOs are pretty are very well aligned with each other, and he's definitely consistent with his belief in that they are Nephilim, basically destined to wander the earth alone.
That's actually kind of why I wanted to have Happy and I want to have Lloyd on here, is because they kind of align the other way. We've kind of talked. Lloyd, what's your opinion on it?
I guess probably the easiest way, I don't know how to reckon it, but knowledge is being withheld from us. I think knowledge that goes way, way back. Whether it be DNA and or abilities to do stuff in the quantum physics, changing vibrations. I think everything is a vibration. I think everything is connected. I don't know how my puzzle's coming together, but it's leaning more towards the quantum physics and vibrations and the ability to manipulate that. I think that we personally, as human beings, have those abilities in us, but the knowledge is being withheld from us. If that makes any sense.
I don't know why one has to disqualify the other. I mean, I think that there could be quantum involved in the Nephilim. Yeah. My own opinion.
Yeah, I guess you guys are kind of talking about the same thing, but using different words. Because when you're talking about the Nephilim, you would look at it as more of a spiritual thing. And then the whole quantum aspect of it is just the scientific way to describe the spiritual. But you're kind of along the same lines,
Here, not to get religious here or stuff, but Jesus walked through the wall, so he was able to do anything, there's so much things that they're spiritual, and their physical, I think you can draw them all together.
All right. What about you, Happy? Where you sit with all this?
Lloyd's talking about the vibrations. Part of what I think it is maybe they're not supernatural, they're hypernatural. And the fact that they can manipulate their environment with the vibrations that Lloyd's talking about or something else. There is information being withheld from us. Everybody needs to decalcify their pineal gland if you could. That kind of opens up your third eye. And take a look. I mean, we as a human race, we're going to buy anything that sounds plausible that makes us all go along with the pack. What we're talking about right now is, you can draw it all together. You can pull it all apart. I mean, the majority of people think we're nuts. But the thing is, we there's so much that we can explain, and there's so much evidence that we ignore. I don't know where we're coming with this at some point, but in the near future, something's got to give. And I mean, with folks like us out in the field, we'll be able to figure this out. And I mean, right now, like I said, hypernatural, but it's all in what is that? The Judeo-Christian construct of things. I mean, what do we really know? What do we really believe? I mean, we can't get our head wrapped around Noah's Ark, let alone and I am Christian, proudly Christian as well. And, that's kind of kept me anchored to all of this. But I like to think of myself as a man of science as well. And those two things can coexist. If they couldn't, I mean, you guys seen Oppenheimer here recently?
It was a good movie.
Worlds, things like that. Who's to say that hadn't happened before? I mean, you guys seen Eric von Daniken's Chariots of the Gods and all of this stuff going on? I mean, who knows how many civilizations have been here? Maybe they're a fragment left over from an advanced civilization. And hell, maybe we were seeded by aliens a million years ago. I still want to find out. I mean, I didn't go looking for this, guys. I'm going to tell you right now. I didn't go looking for this. They came and found me right here. You see this? You see that there where we're sitting? Right there. So I want an answer. And I mean, I'm like I tell Johnny all the time, we're grasping at any answer that we can find and trying to make it plausible. And I mean, with us talking together like this is how it's all going to be solved. And who knows when, but it just makes me scratch my head because every time you think you know a little something, they'll throw a rock at your car in the middle of the night, won't they?
Yeah. That's your brand new vehicle.
So,
one thing that I always say, and it kind of gets people is, and it's I believe it was Tesla that said it. Quantum physics is, how does it say it? God and quantum physics are pretty much interchangeable, in my opinion.
Agreed.
One man's God is another man's quantum physics.
Right.
Why can't they be both?
Indeed, and they, and it can't be consciousness without science, and there can't be science without consciousness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I have it. Go ahead, Tommy.
I have the ultimate thing to destroy any of my credibility. I'm a flat earther. So there you go.
You're a what now?
I'm a flat earther.
Oh.
Who?
The ice wall.
Man, I can't even go that far.
Man,
a flat earther. Oh.
Well,
obviously,
when they talk about quantum stuff, they always talk about a quantum plane.
Well,
yeah.
Hey, we've all spent a whole lot of time on YouTube, and I'm not gonna lie, I found myself on some flat Earth videos from time to time. I don't know. I think people around me, in my home, and the people I associate with, besides you guys, think I'm crazy enough. So I just stick to my one topic, and that's kind of why, like, my whole view on, as of right now, even though I've experienced and seen a lot, I honestly don't have an opinion on what they are yet. What I'm waiting on is, to me, it's kind of it's almost like we have a cart before the horse type of issue here. And it's that, and describe it in an even better way. We have a tree that we plan on turning into lumber to build a cart with a checkbook behind it that you're going to buy a horse with. That's really where we're at. We don't have we still haven't proven it does exist in my mind. I know it does. I've seen them very close up. Happy's had one of the closest experiences you can have. So that's not the problem. The problem for me is if my stated goal is I want to prove that they are real to other people, I've got to start from A before I get to off on these other levels, So I guess I kind of hold back. And, and what I have noticed is that a lot of, not everyone, but how people view these creatures lines up with their belief system in general. Like Christians believe, they're like, all right, well, it's probably a Nephilim. People who are more spiritual or don't believe in anything at all usually go to they are spirits, UFOs, or just, people without any kind of religion usually line up with the just primate theory, We all kind of have our own personal bias, but I have a little bit of that too. Like when it comes to orbs and Sasquatch, in my head, the orbs don't necessarily make the Sasquatch special. For all I know, and I'll just use my own property. For all I know, God said, all right, for whatever reason he chose, God wanted me to go down the path of Sasquatchville and dedicate my life to doing this. So he could have created a ball of light, had it appear in front of a Sasquatch, the Sasquatch follow it to my property, and then the Sasquatch like, hey, I like this property. And then I saw orbs on my own because God was like, hey, wake up. Here's this world is more complicated than you think. So I don't necessarily put them two together. I leave it open for there may be things that we just don't understand that are going on. But I think personally that I want to focus personally on just proving that they do exist as opposed to what they are. So, but I'm very interested, and I've gotten more interested here lately because I'm not going to deny that there have been some weird things. There have been some coincidences that don't seem like they should have happened. Timing of things, the thing I call Bigfoot luck, to where you might have a camera on you, but for whatever reason, like the day that we had our sighting, I filmed all day long, except for 4 minutes. And in that 4 minutes, I didn't have my phone on, and that's when I had my sighting. Stuff like that gets to me a little bit. The audio, there seems to be a discrepancy between what people are hearing and then what the audio recorders are recording. Like sometimes the recordings are completely different things. Like when we went out to the Happy Place a couple weeks ago, and Hank swore up and down he heard a whistle. Well, at the same exact time that he heard a whistle, I recorded a vocal, but there was no whistle. So how does it sound like a whistle to him, but it turns out to be a vocal, And there's been a couple different situations like that. So I don't just, any of you could be right in my mind, So, but I think it's important that we all go ahead.
You kind of just described in a lot of ways what we're celebrating with Cryptovania, or basically Cryptovania is a celebration of that hunt. We don't really consider ourselves researchers looking to bring the truth to anybody. We're celebrating your hunt and all of you guys, and what you're putting into it. For us, this whole hunt is the whole subject of what Cryptovania is all about. And in a lot of ways, like when he and I go out together, sometimes if we come across something you're kind of maybe a little disappointed because now you're going to have to do some work. We were just getting out trying to, go look for, get away and go look for Bigfoot stuff. But then all of a sudden
Right.
you find it and you got to do some work. We really celebrate the search, and the fact that people have to keep adjusting their viewpoints and stuff. And it's really a good life lesson for dealing with the rest of the world too, and all of the changing things that are happening there. It really kind of is good training. And even like having to learn how to disagree with each other, but still not offend each other and stuff. We've all
Right.
had to learn how to have online manners, because all of a sudden, back 20 years ago when we were very young men, you didn't really have an opportunity to speak with a couple of guys in Georgia about Bigfoot or about
Right.
politics or about whatever. And so
Mhm.
we've all had to learn how to handle that, and to, and I think that Bigfoot and the search for Bigfoot has been kind of like a Pied Piper, leading us to all kinds of different discoveries, both about physiology and science, and about our own selves and our own relationship. It kind of sounds like the search for Bigfoot kind of helped you and your focus for your marriage and stuff, from the stories you told in our interview. Like, Bigfoot has had a very positive impact for you. And I know it's definitely had a very positive impact for me and Tommy. He had just 3 years ago, almost to the day, he had a pretty catastrophic stroke right as COVID was firing up. And he was, he couldn't speak a word there for a few weeks.
Really?
And
Good Lord.
yeah, he's had to rebuild that. And that's kind of one of the things that Cryptovania has been too, is like when he was in the hospital and kind of not really having any idea what's going on and stuff. His biggest motivation for coming home was coming back and getting Cryptovania back up off the ground and stuff. And when he first came back out of the hospital, he was there for a little bit. And when he first came back, like, he was it was kind of touch and go. And it Cryptovania is really, and this whole search and this whole, even this social thing of getting together with you guys, it's a very important part of it. And as the editor for Cryptovania, I've had a very firsthand and immersed experience with Tommy's recovery, and being able to build back his speech and motor functions. And this search for Bigfoot has been the major the major drive of that. And that's really what Cryptovania is about. That soul searching and stuff. You go out in the woods and you think you know what you know, and suddenly you don't know what you don't know. And it's very good for, I think, our psyche and uh, for our mental capacities and stuff. And I think it bleeds out into what you might call the real world and stuff. And then you watch in the real world and stuff, you see so many narratives falling apart just as fast as are falling apart here in the Bigfoot and paranormal world. And it's kind of almost like buckle your seatbelts and let's see what happens in the next couple months.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree. I'm the same way. Until I started doing this, I wasn't one. I had friends, but they were. I had very few friends, but close friends. What's been so amazing about this, and believe it or not, I am not a social butterfly by any stretch of the means. I am a very private person. I am. But when it comes to people, especially getting older and having a family, I had no ambition to just make new friends, because I am not the guy who I'm going to talk to you about the weather or the baseball game or your lawn or whatever else. But if you want to sit down and have a conversation about the most important things in life in general, I'll do that all day long. And that's what I like about this whole thing, is that you make friends quickly, because when you really think about it, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I believe or have seen or experienced something completely unbelievable. I'm going to tell you about it. And now I want you to tell me if you think I'm a liar or not. That's what every interaction is. And it's instantaneous honesty, pretty much. If you're looking to build relationships, there's a lot of people out there that aren't honest when it comes to the topic, but when it comes to building relationships and actual knowledge, it's just instantly, you're either honest or you're not being honest, and there's really hardly you can't really dodge that for very long, So, these guys, they're some of the best friends I have, and I haven't known them very long, and I, I'm the same way. I appreciate, the whole field and the whole getting together and the hunting it down and everything. That's great. Tommy, you never know. You had a massive stroke. I'll tell you that. I don't know if I guess that's a compliment, but you never know.
Glad you're still here, man.
Yeah, man, that's good.
My diet and exercise has helped me out a lot.
I bet it has.
I've lost about 70 pounds, and I'm pretty strict about my diet, and I exercise every day and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm real thankful. I'm really, really, really thankful. Yeah,
well,
it's been good.
Good, man.
And besides that, there was no way I could lay in that hospital bed and allow Trost to have all the fun at Cryptovania.
Stealing all the stories at the tire shop and everything.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're running on a little over an hour. I'm going to let you go, but I really appreciate y'all coming on. And
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I definitely like to have you on more. Even if I'm not one of those people who necessarily, I don't consider myself a content creator. I don't do things just to put stuff out. You know what I'm saying? I like the substance. So if you guys ever want to sit down and have another conversation again about just, the things that are rolling around in your head and the things we talk, I'd love to do it again. I greatly enjoyed it, and I'm glad y'all came on.
No problem. By all means, please do keep posting things in Cryptovania, man, because we love everybody posting in Cryptovania.
Well, I appreciate it. And y'all post on our page. Tell everybody exactly where they can find you online.
All right. I'll take that one. Our most active and probably our flagship really is the Cryptovania Facebook group, which is a mixture of our Bigfoot stuff and some entertainment and some music and stuff. Then we also have our Cryptovania TV on YouTube and on Vimeo, and on Roku. We have all our stuff is on Vimeo. We have a huge collection on Vimeo. Vimeo is a little hard it's not very well cataloged on Vimeo, but it's really, there's a lot of stuff there. One of the things that we're very proud of is as we've made relationships with people, they've allowed us to use their content, and we have what we call the peer generated archives, where we have people like the Confessionals and George Workman and Edward Munch and such have allowed us to use their videos and display them. And Vimeo has always been our go-to as you can find everything we have on Vimeo. But then the Cryptovania Facebook page, me and Tommy are in there daily, throughout the day and throughout the night, talking to people, posting, commenting on stuff, encouraging people to share their stuff in there. If you punch in Cryptovania on Facebook, YouTube, or Google or anything, and you'll find our stuff. And we've been out there a few years now. So your search page will be full of our stuff.
Excellent. All right, fellas. Well, we appreciate it. Happy Lloyd, thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Good weekend.
And hopefully we can all do it again, and we will talk to y'all later.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Awesome.
Very
Thanks,
nice to
man.
meet you guys.